Hello, and welcome back to the You Amaze Me recording with myself, Amanda Baker, licensed therapist, social worker, yoga instructor, poet, mom, but ultimately an intuitive human being here creating and facilitating the space where story meets soul and soul meets story. And with me today, we have Ryanna Hammond or Hammond. See, I already said I might mispronounce it, but we'll go with it. And she joins us today. She's a poet, novelist, freelance writer, natural enthusiast from Southern California. She has 6 poetry collections, 1 novel, and will soon to have her first children's book, which is absolutely amazing. I love that. Her main goal is to help others feel less alone and to inspire healing, growth, and authenticity. So aligns. And for more of her poetry, you can find her on Instagram at Ryanna Hammond and check out her business page as well, which is also on Instagram at It's All With Heart. And her personal life on Instagram at Soul Led Wondrous. Oh, beautiful. And I think I follow all your pages. I just love what you are creating and facilitating, which I truly believe is what brought us even together in our shared similarities. So, yeah, welcome. Feel free just to say hi and share some of your story.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. First off, I want to say that it's a pleasure to be here. And I know when we had first connected, when you were telling me a little bit about yourself, I was like, wait, we have so much in common. Like, especially just, I don't have a formal therapy degree, but I do love anything involving therapy. My partner's a therapist. I have my bachelor's in psych. So, like, seeing that it's like the therapy mixed with the poetry, like the psych and creative writing, I'm like, that's like me. So, it's great that we have that in common.
I love it. I love it. And even in my experience as people who've been following along with me for several years, or even when these recordings started coming out about 6 months ago, is like the blurry lines of what even therapy is. And I really found that the more that I've stripped away some of the professionalism, so to speak, and opened up more to my authenticity, which includes creativity and words and yoga and movement and spirituality, like that overall wholeness has drawn more of those people into my life. And that really sounds like what you say, like what your bachelor's degree in, and really what qualifies a person to kind of facilitate healing for others. And I think you do that even in what you are offering.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. That's really cool too, because my partner, he just got his license so that he can have practice on his own for therapy.
Yes.
So
Oh,
he's starting that journey that you just described, where it's like, where's that fine line between like being professional, but also like being my authentic self, and like what would actually bring people who are drawn to me is authenticity. So that's really
yes.
cool.
Yeah, and that's cool too that you get to experience it from just being this person's partner. Like you get to kind of hear more of those ins and outs, and of course, if there's any questions that he has, he's welcome to also reach out to me in doing.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you even got into writing because you have multiple publications. So how did that all start out for you?
Yes. So when I was in high school, I had really suffered with my own mental state, and I just was having a lot of trouble in like my familial life, and then I was choosing the wrong friends, like girls who were bullying me and mean to me, but I like kept trying to be friends with them, that kind of thing. And it ended up leading to me feeling so alone. Like I felt like I was on this island by myself, and I almost committed suicide, and I had really bad depression, and I had anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating disorder. So I just was like really in the thick of like just not a good mental state from sun up to sundown every single day. And when I left my house for college, I went across the country because I thought it was where I lived. Like I was like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna get away from all these
Mhm.
people, and not realizing that it was myself, that all of this pain is gonna follow me
It
when I get
follows you. Yes.
right. And so then when I get across the country, it was like very quickly I'm like, oh, I'm still depressed. I still have these eating disorders. Like I'm still not happy. Now it's just new faces and not necessarily the family or the friends from back home.
Mhm.
And I just randomly started journaling on my computer, and it actually really, like, it helped me start to feel better. I did also go see the school psychologist though for therapy because I was like, listen, like, what's going on? I came across the country thinking I'd be better. Like, so she also really helped me a lot. But I when I started journaling, it was like I felt that I almost had to because it was like everything from my whole life was stuck in my head and I had to figure it out. It felt like it was like a puzzle, and journaling and getting it out was like me trying to get all those pieces together to be like, how did it end up this way?
Yes.
And yeah, and about 2 or 3 years into that, I just started doing it so much that the journaling, it was no longer journaling. It was like they were just coming out as straight poems.
Hmm.
And again, it wasn't something I planned for myself. Like, if anyone knew me growing up, like, they never would have been like, "Oh, Rihanna's gonna become a poet or a writer one day." Like, that was not my best subject. I mean, I was always very good in school, but, like, I was very math oriented. Like, my worst subject was probably English and creative writing, so you wouldn't have thought, like, "Oh, that's," but, I was writing so much that when I graduated with my bachelor's in psych, I started working with children with autism for my job. I was a behavior technician. It was so fun. I love them. They are just the cutest, sweetest little kids. And so it was a
Yes. They-
great job. But while I was doing that 40 hours a week, I was literally writing at least 40 hours a week just for fun. Like, I would get home from work and I'd be writing through all hours of the night. Then I'd wake up and go to work, repeat. And then when I finally realized, at 22, 23, like, oh, if I'm we have to work, for the rest of our lives. Oh, and I'm like, okay, well, what, right? I'm like, what would I want to do? Like, what's actually like a passion that I'd really enjoy? Like, oh, if I have to wake up every day and do that, like, I could do it. And I was like, well, I'm already writing just for fun, for free. So then I applied to get my master's in creative writing. I got into Emerson College in Boston. It was the only school I applied to, and I got in. So, uh,
Incredible. Yeah.
yes,
Amazing.
right? It was just perfectly all part of, I think, a higher plan. And so I went
Yes.
for 3 years to Emerson. I got my master's in creative writing. And then recently I found a program to get a certification in journal therapy coaching. So that's what
Oh.
I'm doing right now. That way I can help people also on that journey that I went through myself without realizing it, like how
Hmm.
the journaling had healed me all those years. I'll be able to help people who want to see like how journal therapy works for them. So it doesn't actually involve like therapy or diagnosis or clinical anything like that. It's more like self-development through
Gotcha.
through journaling.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited because I think that that's also going to be a huge piece of my journey and my business is not only the books that I've written, that people could pick up my books, like if they're in a certain like transformative stage of their life, right? Like, they might be like, "Oh, The Door Between Us, Hearts Bruise Never Break." Like, those might help them reading my books, but also them writing for their own selves in their own journal, I think could be even more healing, which I'll get to help with. So,
That's incredible. And really hearing how organically your what became kind of this innate therapeutic mechanism for you, just that you picked up writing and journaling, or it was journaling, I think you said, and then it came out poetically, which is pretty similar to me in that my yoga teacher training required us to journal every day, and then mine came out as poetry. And so
love
just
that.
having those like natural gifts and talents that then you took to kind of fine tune it by going and getting your master's in it, but really getting intentional of how do I make, and this is what I kind of use as a message to people now more than ever, how to make a living just by the way that you live, as opposed to having to work for money. Yes. Yes. That what is it that you love to do that gets to be your source of income? And I hear from a lot of people that, oh, if I take what is fun for me or my hobby and then start monetizing it, it's going to take the fun away. And I really wonder where we get that like kind of dichotomy from of it doesn't have to. Can we still foster our joy in the things that you're naturally good at, that you love to do, and also let it be the way that you make a living. And you're bridging the two because you went and got your master's and you're taking another certification, so that if people read your poetry and it resonates with them, then they also get the extra piece if they choose on, well, how do I do this for myself now? I
Right.
love that.
Yeah. I also love that you bring that up with the job in general, how people can say like, "Oh, no, it would take the fun out of it." Because I have heard that seriously so many times too, and I think it's just one of those things where it's kind of like an echo chamber, like, where somebody's heard it somewhere where people say like, "Oh, your art and your creativity, like, can't make you a living," right? Like, we hear these things our whole lives, and I think when people hear them, it's like their subconscious, like, sticks onto them, or just, "Okay, that must be truth, and I'll save that, and then I'll go do this really boring thing that I hate at waking up to every day," you know? Um, and that's definitely, I would say, like, part of my mission too, is I would love to help people foster more happiness in their life, and I think one of the biggest ways to do that is, like, helping them find what are your dreams, and like how do we get you to go for those dreams rather than like settling with whatever this lukewarm life is, you know? We're here for maybe 80 years, but probably not, because of all the crazy chemicals and who knows what else we have here now, you know? That it's like we're really not here that long, and like I sure don't want to wake up like where I hate my Monday through Friday, and then I kind of hate the weekend because I have to go back to the Monday through Friday, you know? Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like, yeah. Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
well, just so relatable. And I think getting this message out there, and now getting the message that's from the other side, because hearing you say you've heard from so many people that no, you just can't. And that's what I hear, like it's been so subconsciously ingrained that then it's this limiting belief of what I love to do can't also be the way that I make a living or where my income comes from, or it's going to ruin it, that like one kind of overtakes the other.
Yeah, very true. And for anyone listening who might
Yes.
think that, I can say, trying to like pursuing this, and pursuing it full time, it hasn't ruined it for me. Maybe I'm sure you could agree it hasn't ruined it for you. You're here and
No.
are
It,
loving what you're doing. Yeah. Um, because I remember I had heard that too, like when I had first started, like, "Oh, are you sure you want to write? Like, if you try and make a living from it, it might like take the fun out of it, you know?" But here I am 7 books in, and I'm like, "No, I genuinely enjoy it." Is it the easiest journey? No, I can say that too. I think anything you choose to do, you have to work hard for, unless you are directly getting, a job that, you're working underneath someone where you get the paycheck, like, of course, if that's what someone wants for stability and what works for
I
them, that's
agree.
right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm thankfully in a situation where um my partner, he loves his job and he can bring in that stability where I can continue to be like, I'm pushing to try and reach new heights with my books. Like, I have some large dreams. Like, my dreams are like all my books are going to be like, you can walk into Target and you're going to find my books there. My novel is going to be a movie one day. Like, these are not like things I don't think will happen either. Like, they're like, I'm set on them happening, and
Love
it
that.
just takes time, It takes
Yes.
time for people
Yes.
to read your book, especially starting from the ground up. At some point, after when I was writing the novel, I had sent out to 150 literary agents my novel idea, which is also so many. Like, a lot of people send them to like, 10, 15, and that's like good. And I was like, I'm going to go balls to the wall. I'm going to send this out to so many people. And either like half of them I never heard back from. And I'm like, I'm waiting 6 months, 7 months, for
Mhm.
like a
Mhm.
response. And then the ones I would hear back from, it would be like the same sort of message, like, "Thank you so much, but we are not looking for new, or we are not interested at this time. Like, but good luck, finding a person to carry your book." And then I just was like, you know what? I already know that this is such a good book. I don't need approval from somebody else, and I don't need somebody else to take this on. I was like, I'm just gonna do it myself. And when I was getting my master's, I also took a copy editing course. So I copy edited the book myself. I designed the cover myself. I did the book formatting myself. So basically it was like a way for me to end up I made my own imprint, like my own publishing company, all with heart. My business is like how I imprint all my books. And I just did everything. I was the publishing house. And yes.
That's
And now it's like, so now I'm like starting from the ground up, though, where it's like, okay, I'm my own advertiser and marketer. So I know that one day, yes, there will be, great rewards for starting from the ground up, but it's a method that does, take time.
yes. Yeah, and this trust in the unknown and the trust in yourself to dream big, to allow yourself to dream big and be willing to move through if there's rejections or feelings of failure, and then to get up and like pivot from that. I had read one of Elizabeth Gilbert's books. I think it was some like Big Magic or something magic. I'm drawn to a
Mm.
lot of titles with
I
magic.
have that book here
Uh,
on my shelf.
not surprised. But she talks in there about getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of like rejections and denials, and her, again, it's like this determination, but I think it comes from an energy of a calling, not like a force of I got to prove myself, but one of just I know this, I believe in this. And she even shares a story about maybe one of the publishing companies reading like her manuscript and saying how horrible it was, and then years later that same person read it again and then said how awesome it was, not remembering that they
Oh
read
my.
it previously. I loved that story because it just shows that one person's opinion can be influenced by the moment that they're in, whatever's going on, whatever they maybe read before. And then so for one person to say like, no, this isn't good enough, I think it's important for people to hear it only has to be good to you. Like if you like it and then you believe in it, there's an audience for it. And that you keep trying.
Exactly. Okay, there were so many things in there that were so good that you had said. I'm like, I gotta backtrack and think
All
of
good.
which one to comment on.
Which one to go for? Yeah.
With okay, what were you saying with big with that book, Big Magic? Oh, like um someone else's opinion, right? Like this was a huge learning lesson for me in my 20s, was basically just that like, okay, if I have my opinion, or Lucy Lou over here who says it's not good enough, who am
Mm-hmm.
I going to believe? Like, am I going to believe the person outside of myself, or am I going to believe myself? And there's so many reasons why someone would say or think whatever their opinion is based on their own life, their own upbringing, whatever led them to be who they are today, any subconscious pattern that they're following, their
Mm-hmm.
own ego,
Yep.
right? And
Right.
so it's like, so many times in life we can stop ourselves because of someone else's ego, who's actually just either maybe jealous, or like a great example, when I was at the last like formal job I had, it was about, I want to say, a little over 2 years ago. I had a boss, and that was when I was finishing up my novel, and I knew that if I wanted to pursue my novel, I would have to make more time essentially in my day for the novel, for me to finalize it, and
Mm-hmm.
do a launch campaign and all of that. That I was like, if I really want to do that, I won't be able to work because the work is taking up too much time. It's deterring from that, right? So I was planning to just live off my savings for a little bit, and I was getting early readers for the book, and it was a book that involved like a lot of reading, and I knew my boss loved reading, and I was like, hey, do you want to be an early reader for my book? She's like, okay, that's great. um, I got all like super great feedback from everyone who read the book. There's like 30 or so early readers. I didn't hear a single word from her the whole time. She knew I was quitting the job, right? And then like the day, like it was like 4 hours before the book was releasing at midnight, December 1st, 2023. So this is the night before December 1st, 2023. It's like 8 p.m. I'm in one of my master's degree classes, and my watch buzzes, and I look down, and it's a message from her, and it's like, I hated your book. That's all it said. Yeah, just like, I hated your book. And this is a book I've worked on for over 3 years, like sometimes 80 hours a week, like blood, sweat, energy, passion. Like this is my whole life.
Yes.
And
Oh,
when I
it's
see the message, I literally turn my camera off and I'm bawling my eyes out. And then I have this like moment of clarity though, where I'm like, there's no way she hated the book, because you wouldn't, no one who is, if you are living your life like from your own authenticity and love and kindness, nobody would ever send a message like that.
Mm.
You would never say that to someone.
Like be that harsh.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And I was like, I just got chills. I would never say that to someone. And if I had feedback for someone who was, learning or growing or developing a craft, it would be constructive and kind. And I would also say, hey, and here's like what's great about it. Here's what I really loved. And hey, maybe like check out like this, learning thing about how to, cut the line in a poem, right? Like I could give people feedback to help them
Feedback.
grow, but I would never be like so mean and harsh to say that I just hated this thing, that there's creativity of theirs. And that ended up being a huge learning lesson for me, because once I had reflected on that moment with like, well, what would I do? And like, what would anyone do in that situation? Okay, well, so then why could her responses have been that way? Well, maybe she really liked it and was jealous. Maybe she really didn't like it and she hated the fact that I was leaving the job. Like, I don't know. I'll never
So,
know.
so many different possibilities. Yeah.
Right. But at the bottom line, it's like, am I gonna believe me, who's worked on the book for 3 years and knows in my soul how good it is, or am I gonna believe this one woman who was my boss at one job, who was the only person who didn't like it? And
I
it's
get that. Hmm.
right. And it's like so often I feel like it's so easy for us as humans to like hold on to the one bad thing we hear, like when you're growing up as a kid, it's like I feel like you could get a million compliments and you hear that one thing about, oh, you've got a funny nose or you run weird or whatever it might be, for that person. That's the thing that sticks.
That
And then that's
stays.
the thing they carry forward. And so it's always just so good to remind ourselves that, like, honestly, for most of us, probably for every 30, 40 good things we hear is the one bad. Why hold on to the one bad? Like, that's one opinion or one idea. Like, hold on to the other 30,
Together.
and let
Uh-huh.
yourself ride off of those.
So real. And that goes into, I think, in psychology, the negativity bias that we just naturally have as humans to hold on to the negative. So it takes so much extra effort and intention and awareness to move that lens to the multitudes of positives that are
Right,
there. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right,
So I think it's real to have the moment where you said, like, you cried, like it was still hurtful,
right.
but then to be able to bring yourself out of that and not let that really drag it down, to be like, this isn't good enough. Okay, I'm not doing it. Because I think we do need to have that, like, that backbone to handle like the criticism or just the negative comments that might come when you're putting yourself out there. And that's, that's what this is. It's like when we have a craft, a talent, an ability, a gift, and I think everybody does, what can hold people back is that fear or um maybe like not ready to
Mhm.
be able to take the negative as well as like the potential of all the positive that you might get. I think some people are also really like scared or intimidated by their potential greatness.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad you bring that up. I think anytime you are living in your authentic power, you are, I mean, basically it's like we have two choices. We can live where we like try and please everybody and we're like very this like lukewarm version of ourselves, and we're like, you know, oh yeah, I like that, or like you like more just kind of downplay your actual interest, and you kind of just are friends with everybody, cool with everybody, right? Like we can live that life where we're not truly happy, but we're also not displeasing anybody because we're
Right.
staying in
Yeah,
boxes.
it's kind of safe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
very
safe.
safe. Or we step out into our authentic self, and then not only are we going to attract all those people who are like, oh my God, like, whoa, you really speak to me, right? Like we're totally going to attract those people who really are aligned with us. We're also going to attract the people who are very set off by our authenticity.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it might just be like we might not be the person for them, or it might be that we like trigger them in a certain
Yeah.
way, or it highlights to them all the things that they also really want to do for themselves, but they aren't doing it yet. So they're like, oh, like I hate you. Um, yeah, and, what I can say for anyone who might be in the position, who's listening, who is, like, maybe hasn't done that journey yet or, like, wants to kinda go on that authenticity journey is, I feel that God, the universe, whatever you believe in,
Mhm.
spiritually, like any sort of higher power, um, it will give you challenges in doses. It's not all at once. So, like for me personally, when I first stepped out into my authentic self, it was 2019. I was 22, and I made my first like poetry account where it wasn't just like my account on Instagram at that time was just me and like cute little edited photos of my hot face and my hot body, like because I'm like 22 and that's what was cool to me.
Yeah.
And I made a poetry account and I like shared my first poem, a poem about like a butterfly or a caterpillar becoming going and becoming a butterfly.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
which I totally love now because I'm like, I totally get that that was like my first transformation.
Yes. Yes.
And it's a poem that's in my first book actually. But when I posted it, I was terrified. I thought about what if all these people from high school and college like see it and are laughing about me, or like what if people, it's all these what ifs. And I ended up getting just only great feedback from random strangers on the internet, like, oh, great poem, like, oh, I love this idea, whatever, right? And I was always so fearful, like, what if someone sends me a hate comment about one of my poems, right? Like, this is something that's been in my brain for months. And it was probably, I would say, half a year into having that account where I got my first hate comment. And it was like just a comment that just said, this is the stupidest poem I've ever heard. And when it came in, I honestly didn't think too much of it. It was more like, well, if someone's, sending that sort of message, they're going through their own thing. Like it's not me and it's not a direct reflection of me or my poem. And it was like I had been waiting all this time for this scary thing. And then when it happened, it like really wasn't so scary. And
Mhm.
that helped me initially like deal with rejection more.
Yes.
And then obviously as time went on, I would get a little more dose of that, like, hate comments or, you know, mean messages. And it gets easier each time, but also it comes in such small doses. Like it's not like, okay, I step out in my authentic self and then a whole country of people hate you and blacklist you. Like that would be so terrifying. But it's
Yeah.
like it doesn't work that way. It's
It
it's
gives
gonna
you what you
come
can
in.
handle. The
Exactly. You will
universe,
never
that's my belief too.
get Yes, you will never get more than you can't handle, and it will always be one little challenge that you work through, and then it like expands your comfort zone. And then one little challenge, because that's what helps us grow to eventually
Yes.
then we can hold a larger container because we've worked to hold that larger container.
Yeah, that's like my methodology as well, and that's why it's such a slow process that you just don't become famous overnight. And if someone does, it's just because they are extremely ready for it. But if we're not, then again,
Right.
we're going at our own pace. And
Yes.
really trust that and trust the process, have like faith in the timing, but that continual belief in yourself. And so I'm curious for you, and this might be helpful to listeners too, going back to that idea that we can't make a living by doing, what we love or what we're naturally good at. And what do you think it was for you that helped you step into like the belief in yourself? How did you, if you had any of those limiting beliefs, how did you work to kind of combat those beliefs or kind of move them to the side?
Yeah. Great question. So, I back in I want to say 2021 was the first time where I was like, I'm gonna, work for myself and like believe in my poetry. And I had lasted, I want to say, for like maybe about a year doing that, but then the money was so low. I was like doing Uber Eats and Instacart, like just trying to like help me,
Yes,
that I went. I basically, it was like it didn't work that first time, which is bound to happen. I think we will have those trial and errors,
I agree.
and I got another job working with kids on the spectrum for, I want to say, about maybe a year, a little over a year. Then I had that job where I said that the woman had, the one who had hated on the book. I was there for maybe only like 6 months, and the whole time while I was there, I had essentially hated that the fact I didn't mind the job. I thought it was a fun job that had to do with reading and writing, but it was like I'm waking up to make somebody else a ton of money because I'm only making $16 an hour, but it costs like $900 to take this reading course, and there's like 16 kids in the classroom, all paying 900 whatever dollars. I'm only getting $16. Who's getting the like thousands upon thousands,
Uh-huh.
like when I'm the one teaching them. And that was what kind of inspired me, was the fact that like if I'm working for myself and I find whatever like my like niche is, like not that I would need that much money, but it's like I would be the one who's earning that money that I deserve, not somebody else who I'm just like working for,
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
and uh I had this vision of kind of like the journal therapy thing for a while, where I wanted to offer, journaling workshops and writing workshops and healing workshops. And so while I was at that job, it was like I had to step into the version of me who creates journaling workshops. But that was not who I currently was. Who I currently was I'm a reading and writing teacher, and I like to write poetry. And I started journaling about it. Basically, I started doing research online, like how do I like basically step into like the new version of me.
It's
And
like identity shifting. Like I listen to meditations on identity shifting and self-concept work, subliminal messages at night. Like some people might think this is very woo-woo, but I think it's on the subconscious level where you shift and change your
right.
identity and self-concept. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and literally, it's like it sounds weird because it's like, what do you mean, like shift your identity? But it's like, no, like if you have a vision of you in like a new dream for yourself, how do you get there? Like you have to pivot.
Yes.
And if you're ready to pivot, but you're a different person, it's like, what? Like, and so that was basically what I did, was a lot of like identity shift work through journaling. I started journaling and asking myself like questions for me to answer, like, what does this version of me do? What does this version of me believe about herself? And then I'd start to answer those questions and like embody who who that version of me is. So then I was like, okay, well then I better like make my first journaling workshop. So I did one called Tap Into Your Higher Self, which is free, by the way. You can get it on my website. um it's allwithheart.com, and if you sign up for my email list, you get that for free.
Incredible. Yeah. Share all
It's
that. Let people know where
Yeah,
to go and where to find you. Mhm.
yeah, and I was gonna say it's in a way it's similar to this identity shift work, but it's not shifting your identity. It's just tapping into like the highest, lightest, brightest version of you, and how that person would like walk through life or make decisions. Which I found very helpful because I was also working a lot with like my highest self at that time, which is the version of you that completely believes in yourself and like
Yes.
knows it's your soul basically.
Yes.
And so uh I made that workshop, and then I recorded myself teaching it, and then I was like, okay, like I did it. Like so now I just it's basically you have to just exit your comfort zone and do the thing and be the thing
Yeah.
basically.
It's the
Otherwise
experience. You
yes.
were like experiencing in real time because you knew this is what's going to help you, but by doing it for you, you're helping others. And that's what I've found, like, even in being a therapist, where I'm like, oh, we learn all these evidence-based practices step by step implemented, and like it doesn't feel authentic if I'm not doing it. Like if I don't want to recommend or work with anybody on anything that I'm not embodying myself. And and it's just weird coming from that space of like learning in grad school how to do something versus actually experiencing it in the
Right.
moment. And that's what I find people have the biggest or most progress within themselves when they go through a new experience. So I love that you said like you recorded yourself doing it, and that like fostered and probably allowed you to step more into that embodied higher self, as well as the people who get to go through it or who are watching and participating.
Right. Yeah. um so I after I'd recorded it, I sent it to my parents, because it's my parents. They believe in me. They know I'm always on to my big dreams, whatever. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna like start to offer like journaling workshops. Like this is what I'm gonna do one day. And I was like, um, I want you guys to try this, like, let me know what you think." And they were both, like, so confused, like, they were like, "What?" But then they did it, and then they both sent me a text message, and they were like, "Wow, like, I actually, like, see you in a new way now, like, I can see the vision, like, that was really cool." And I'm like, "Okay, awesome." I'm like, I'm not insane, like, the people closest to me
Yes, yes.
see
Like
it,
it enjoyed it and could see, your passion. And again, right, it's like the aligned people in your life are going to cheer you on and encourage you and see the things, the ones that might be triggered themselves or not there themselves or subconsciously envious or something are going to give more of like that pushback and that
Right.
negativity. Yeah.
Right, of course.
Oh,
And then I think before we had gone on this big combo, I think your question was how I had ended up leaving the jobs and going full in, like,
yes.
on
Yep.
my
Yep.
um, so first it was doing those, like, the identity shift and, working with my higher self and just lots of encouragement of saying, like, "You just have to do it," is basically you have to just jump off of that ledge, and trust that you will be caught if you know that that's what's right for you.
Hmm.
Um, and it was shortly after I had recorded that where I was like, even if I'm not doing this yet, I know that I want to be a full-time writer and author, and I know that I want to have my own business. And so I basically made my website, the current website that I still have. I While I was working part-time, I like took my hours from full-time to part-time. I did that for a couple months, just so that I'd have, like, the money as I'm, like, building everything.
Makes sense.
Um, then I put my 2 weeks in, and then uh, moved back in with my parents because I was like, "I know I won't have income." And then, that was 2 years ago, and then I'm still here, and, each year it has gotten better. Like, whenever I had first made a business on my own in like 2021, which was just like me trying to sell my poetry books, I always like keep track of like the numbers, and like I remember I had put like 5,000 into the business that year, and like 5,000 was taken out for the business, so I broke even. And then last year in 2024 it was, or yeah, last year 2024 it was like, I put 7,000 in and I got 9,000 back or something like that. So it's like, okay, I was positive 2,000.
Right. Yes.
And then this year it was, like, I haven't calculated it yet, but I know, like, a rough estimate, like, put 5,000 in, and then it's like 15,000 I got back. So it's like, "Oh my god, I'm, like, positive 10,000," and so it's like each year you're making more, you're doing better, and it's like if you are making the tweaks along the way and learning, like, you can expect it would just only, go up. And I'm not working with, like, loans or anything. I don't even know how to do any of that. I'm just not that kind of person. So it's just
Yeah.
like I'm
There's
working with whatever's in my savings kind of thing, but it's working, and it's a slow process.
I think it is. It's
Yeah.
going back to, like we said, it's that slow process. It's this leap of faith, but even hearing in your story that it doesn't have to be this like I'm quitting my job and now I'm a full-time writer. But I do think that identity shifting is saying like I'm a writer, I'm a business owner, I'm a poet, or I'm a healer. Like that's the identity that you are, but you don't have to be showing that in the like physical realm 100%. Like you
Right.
can have the side jobs, you can work less hours, you can move in with your parents, you can take out a loan. Um, but it's really also for me in my experience, because similarly, like that first year of no longer working a salary job. And still having some safety net with doing like one-on-one therapy, but doing more with yoga, doing more with my writing, doing more with like these outside groups and cohorts. The first year, yeah, I put in more than I made. So I did have like a deficit, and I could have been like, really upset about that, look at that as failure and be like, okay, this is not a good idea. I need to go back to that like secure job. But I think a piece of it is also looking at what's fulfilling for you. What is abundance for you? Like for me, it was the connections that I was making with people, the responses that I was getting on Instagram. Like I find it a very connective community of other like-minded people that's like wealth and abundance to me. Like yes, I still need to live like and take care of bills and stuff. But if I can do that from other income or a loan or what have you, because the value that I'm maybe placing on what I find fulfilling from what I love to do and my hobbies, that can also be a way of serving others and bringing in income in time. Like the second year was better, and hopefully this third
Right.
year for me too is better. But I value that more. I value my authenticity more than maybe the salary that's coming in. It's important. It's
Right.
important. But what do I value more? Because that's what I'm going to live from. That higher space.
Yes, and I absolutely agree, and it's so funny you say that because literally was just thinking about this like 2 nights ago when I was going to sleep. I was like just thinking about the jobs I have or what I could have, and I literally was thinking like I would rather wake up every day with a couple $1,000s to my name, knowing that I'm really doing what I love and I love my day to day, than wake up with like $1 million in my account because I'm working at some job, but I literally hate what I do. Like for me, my happiness is so much more important.
Yeah.
Like I would rather be happy. Like that is my abundance, is like how happy am I and how much do I enjoy my life, And it's like for me it's not money that makes me enjoy life, it's my hobbies and my activities. So I'm going to choose the hobbies and activities. Like that is where the abundance is.
I
And
agree. Yeah.
yeah, and, I like that you use the word abundance too, because I think that's another thing where people can, work on, or that's a good thing to journal about. That was something I once journaled about, was like, if it's not just money, like what else is there? And it's what you said, it's the community, it's relationships, it's opportunities like this to go on somebody's podcast, and it's your family and the hobbies that you enjoy. Like that is what abundance is. It's not having a plethora of money. It's what are all those things in your life that you love. Is money one thing in that? Of
In that
course.
too.
And
I agree.
yeah,
Yep.
and it's like, of course
Yes.
we need money. Like
Yes.
it's not like we have transcended the need for money. Like yes, we need
Exactly.
money to pay bills. Um I just don't mind if it's that I have less money than other things.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm right there with you. And I think the people that resonate with this are the people that are drawn, that are still listening, because there's people that, right, they value the money that's in their bank more, and that there's nothing wrong with that. That's
Right.
each their own. But letting this also shine that this is a path that people can take, and hearing from others, I think, is what inspires others. And so
Yeah.
by you coming on here and sharing your story, and even just us coming into connection because of those similarities, I think that will promote more abundance in this path as
Right.
well for people. Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
So, are you open to sharing one of your poems? Would you like to share something from one of your books?
Sure, that's a good idea. Let me I'll grab out my newest book. This one is The Nature of It All. So it's my favorite one, because whatever book is my newest book is always my favorite one because that's just where the writing is, the best, I think.
Yes.
Um, okay, let me think. Okay, this one I think goes right along with the conversation we've had today, so I'll go for this one. And I mean, I'm sure some people would get it without explaining, but I can explain it a little more after.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's called One Big Jam Session. Life force on the drums, creating a rhythm, a deep thump. Ta, ta, ta. On the triangle between gut and head and heart, intuition starts. Ting, ting, ting. I hear the music and know I'm on the cusp of something. Soul's purpose gets on guitar and confidently strums the strings. Da-na-na-na. My human experience steps to the mic and starts to sing to the jovial beat. Instinctively, my feet stomp and my body bops, aligned with tempo and time. Da-na-na-na-na. Ta-ting, ta-ting, ta-ting. The heavens and angels are backstage cheering. They shine lights beyond bright for me to truly see everyone's lovely faces. Da-na-na-na-na. Ta-ting, ta-ting, ta-ting. I look out and see God, God, God.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Truly
Yes, yeah.
feel it.
Yeah, right. As I was reading, I was like, I know Amanda will know
Yes.
what I'm talking about with this one. Um, so basically, in I know some people are not as visual or not as I get what audio, I don't know how to say it, but you know
Like
what I'm saying.
auditory. Yeah. Yeah. The
Yes.
auditory.
So basically the how that poem had come to be was I do a lot of solo travel, not since I've had the baby, but I used to go to a lot of the national parks by myself. And I was on my way to a national park in Arizona, and I was just thinking about how the universe, myself, all the different parts of me, my intuition, my this human experience that I'm in, like we're all kind of working together to conspire for this new life for myself. And so to me it felt like it was like members of a band all coming together, right? Like God's over here and the angels over here, and then the human experience is the one at the mic because you're the one, with the words. Uh,
Yes.
and then like, as I said, and there's like between on the triangle between the gut and the head and the heart. So it's like, okay, my body's all working together now. So I'm coming together. I'm in sync. I'm in unison with myself, but also with this larger organizing principle. And then the parts where it's like the music, ta-ting, ta-ting, it's like, okay, so it's working. It's really all coming together. It's starting to, make noise and move. Um, and then it's like, well, who's the audience? Who am I? Who am I? Ooh, I'm getting chills. Who is the audience and who am I like doing all this for? And um, then I was just realizing that, in all of us is that light and that love, and that's the God within us all is just that kindness. And so it's like when I'm thinking like, who is this for? It's not for other human beings, it's for everybody's souls, and we're all just an aspect of God here in physical form.
Chills.
Yeah, right. No, I know. I literally was like, ooh, I'm like, I love that poem because it's just it is like a deeper spiritual one, but it's just like this really beautiful truth when you get down to it. It's like we're in this way we're just like in this aspect of heaven on earth, and we're all just souls here and trying to do our best in a world that unfortunately has become very hard to live in because of money and capitalism and so
Yes.
many things,
Yes.
uh but it's like who are we doing all this for? Like we're doing it for each other and the community that we build, and
Yes.
uh helping other people find connection and not feel alone. Like that's what my human experience is doing it for. So yeah.
Yeah. And I feel that resonance and that connection, and right, like it's like we're here in physical form on earth because we have a gift, is how I put it, a talent to serve soul to soul.
Yeah.
And right, so it's like who's the audience? The audience is the God, the higher force, whatever gave you the gift, whatever said, here, I'm giving you the seed of this gift, and now your job is to grow it. And
Yeah.
that's it. And when you
Right.
find it, you share it.
Right.
It doesn't have to, like, it seems hard because of capitalism and the structure, but it
Right.
doesn't have to be, because you were born with the seed. But are you letting all the dark kind of wither the growth of that, or are you using the light to grow the seed? Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
So I know we have to wrap up, but I do have a question, because you started off sharing kind of your story in terms of when you were younger, like struggling some with mental health, the suicidal ideation you mentioned, the depression, the eating disorders, and similarly myself, depression, like suicidal ideation in my history. And do you find that what you've done with your path in this, like really being authentic, has that reduced, softened those mental health diagnoses?
Oh, 1,000,000,000,000,000%. It's like we're like,
Amazing.
if everything in life is like a spectrum, the middle is just like okay and whatever. If I was like way off to the left side of like all these ailments, I'm like like that's how far I am on the other side, just by living in my authenticity working to know myself and learn myself more, and then doing hobbies and creativity and things that bring me joy, hiking, playing soccer, writing poetry. Like if I have a dream, really believing in myself and making steps to follow it, like that is truly the antidote to a lot of ailments, is just that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I say, authenticity is a therapeutic intervention, and way back early on in psychology, like Carl Rogers, that's what he was saying. But I think we've gotten so far from that. It's such a strong part. It doesn't have to be the only way. So, some people need more, but it's your journey, and I think that that is like so potent. And so I am such an advocate for highlighting that and having people even share their own
yeah,
lived experience of the growth and the progress in that.
yeah,
So just kudos to you. Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Any final words? Do you want to again highlight how people can find you? Any last messages to share?
Um, sure. Thank you for having me, Amanda. For anyone who's listening, I hope that you have gained something from this conversation and space. Uh, One of my most important things I feel is that I want to help people feel less alone. So I hope that something from the conversation was like relatable, or like, oh, I'm going through that. That would be my hope. Um, and all of my books are all on my website. Everything is focused on self transformation that I write. So I have like a book about the beginning of my like journey and awakening, that's called We Are Human. I have a book to help people through toxic romances, that one's called Hearts Bruise Never Break. And just a variety of others. The one I read from, The Nature of It All, is My Journey from Hell on Earth to Heaven on Earth. So yes,
I got it.
yeah, that one is my favorite one. And then I have a romance novel, Searching for Emiliano. That is also one of my favorite books. And I'm not doing the journal therapy coaching yet because I'm currently still getting the certification, but I will have that in a couple months. And then that's going to be something that I offer to people as well. For anyone who maybe is interested in writing and journaling, who plans on publishing a book, I also help people with that, because that was such a crazy hard process for myself. So I'm like, that's a way I can just help people, is I do editing, I make all my covers. So I do cover designing, book formatting, all of that. And then just if you want to be friends, you can hang out with me on Instagram, send me a message, say that you listen to this. I'd love to meet more people doing, any sort of authentic or creativity or anything like that. My website, if you want to learn more about anything I do, is www.allwithheart.com.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes and in like the descriptions. And yeah, just so excited that you were here. I do usually pick an oracle card, so I had just pulled one real fast. I have wisdom, so thank you for sharing all of your wisdom with us here, and the wisdom that's in your books and what you were going to be continuing to do. It says wisdom helps us avoid repeating past mistakes and guides us towards a more fulfilling and purposeful life. So,
Yes.
such
Love
a
that.
such a good way to end. I love it
Yeah.
too, and our shared connection. So, thank you again. Thank you to all the listeners for showing up for yourself and being here with us. You amaze me, and we love you.